Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's pairing session. The issue I am bringing along. So this milestone, I'm participating in the Beautifying Our UI initiative, and there is one of those bugs that I'm currently looking into, and it is pretty easy to reproduce. Let me quickly share the screen or start the video. It is about when you are definitely issues and pretty sure on merge requests as well, when you are going to answer on a comment and you're going to be handling with the emoji picker and you're going to start it. And now you want to get out of it using the escape key. It will not only close the emoji picker, but it will give you the modal that, basically to kind of discard your changes and quit commenting, which is hugely annoying. So that is the thing. And while diving into this part of our code base, I am sure it is safe to say that this can be considered legacy. It is what I then learned done by a plugin, which I think it's called add_view.js, and we are including this as an as a dependency. Basically, it's done in CoffeeScript to my large surprise. So the thing with that is the emoji picker, it is not part of our view application. So therefore, it is basically just inserted into the DOM and positioned absolute on this. Let me see if I can reproduce this somewhere so we can inspect this.
So my initial thoughts are, you're in the text area and you press colon and then the drop down appears. The active element is still the text area. So when you hit escape, your whatever key down or key press event listener you've got listening is going to hit all the event listeners on the text area, which includes the cancel writing comment thing. So the only way I can think of to prevent that would be to make sure that the GFM or whatever app.who JS listeners bind their events before the view application do, and then call stop immediate propagation when you get escape. But that is horrible. That's a horrible mess. So yep. I hope there's an easier solution, but that's my immediate thought.
Just to get this right, on which of the two event listener would we have to call the stop propagation? On the emoji picker event listener?
Yeah, exactly. Because I think the event must be attached to the text area, I think.
I'm not quite sure of this, because the problem is that basically what we are when the view application, when the text area is being edited, which is a part of a view application, and it has an key listener on the escape key, we kind of wanted to, like, this is not a bug, this is a feature. We want this to work. It's just the condition is going to be always work, but if the emoji picker is open, then just please ignore this.
Yeah, that could work.
So that is what I currently came up with. Like, this is heavy work in progress and not going to be a proper MR. But so this is the event handler for the escape key for the node form, and this is then just checking if the emoji picker has a style block to it, which this, to my surprise, it works with quite a high reliability. It's still rubbish, but just to basically as a prototype, this is currently where I'm at with this.
I agree with what Mark's saying. It'd be nice if we can lean into our data structures here, and we didn't have to couple into the note form needs to know about @view and things like that. If we could have a stack of listeners such that the latest one that pushes a listener is the first one that handles it, that would be sweet. Yeah, what were you want to say, Mark?
So I have another idea. It's less bad than what I suggested at first, but it's still bad. The view event listener, key press, key down event listener, whatever it is, could wait a micro task or next tick or whatever, and then check if the event was prevent defaulted. So that would allow whatever other listeners there are to interact with the event object and maybe prevent default. So for instance, the @who listener could do prevent default if escape was pressed. And then when the view event listener eventually runs, it'll see that it is default prevented and not run its own stuff. That's also horrible, though. I don't like it.
So
but throwing it out there.
that would. Sorry, Yannick. Am I really choppy? Is there any problem with my internet connection? Do I seem touching?
So you cut off a little.
Yeah.
No, it's okay.
All right. I'm just gonna lean into that and start interrupting you all. Do you that would work if I think the problem with the emoji picker event handling is it's possible the event handling is not set up until the emoji picker shows up. Do you know what I'm saying, Mark?
Mm-hmm.
So what we would need to do to have actual control of the ordering of these things is have the emoji picker have some sort of like global initialization where it sets up an escape listener. And we can give that priority because of the ordering first. Do you know what I'm saying, Mark?
Pretty much. I mean, well, almost. I think basically we need to look at where in our code does pressing colon trigger the thing, and then we can work from there, I guess. If that makes sense. Just like find where in the code that is triggered and then see what we can do.
Awesome. Let's do this. The good news and the bad news. I have been there, but I don't have it open. So let me see if I can quickly find this. So I need to figure the exact name of the library, which I currently don't have at the top of my mind. And within the node modules folder, there will be around a file in there, not too big to get it, and there has been a listener in there.
I think it's called @who. I think there's the library. So wherever that's the library wherever we're using that library is what we'd want to look for.
Is it? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Pretty sure that is the function we're calling.
The autocomplete. Yeah. So this isn't just a emoji thing, because this is also used for MRs or issues or all this stuff, right? Does this show up for the other things as well?
Yeah, this is basically this functionality, like the drop-down emoji picker. Like this is all @you.
But it also shows up if you're like trying to @ somebody, right?
I haven't checked, but from the looks of it, it really looks familiar.
Yeah, if you escape here.
Same issue.
Okay.
So are we looking into the call where this library is actually used, or do we want to look at the source?
Can I ask a dumb question before we move on?
Please.
How is this supposed to work?
I'd say, like, as a user, I would expect, so if we are not opening this @who menu, then just on escape press, this modal is absolutely fine. But when we do have the text area in this kind of add hue field. When I now press escape once, I would expect to only close this user menu for now, or emoji picker, whatever it might be, but not go into not asking me to cancel creating the comment.
So how would we do it if it was like a normal view app, if it wasn't hacked together?
Well, basically with handling state, I suppose. Then we could have a state telling us that the add view is currently active, and if so, just ignore the key press.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Which was one of the ideas, which was your initial, the idea that you're currently going with, where you're just checking the state of if it's open or not by seeing if that class exists.
The add hue library will not give us any view state, since it's not a part of the application. What Mark supposed, or at least how I understood, is that we are listening for we will still be listening for the escape key press in our view application, but we'll be checking on the event if it has been prevented by default, which is something we would need to build into the library first, and then we would know, okay, something is trying to keep us away from open our modal menu, and this command is not meant to be canceled. Did I get this right, Mark?
I wasn't listening. Sorry.
No worries.
Here's another alternative, because I'm looking at the code. I see that we might not actually control at whose escape, right? That comes from that vendor library, I think. So another idea.
That is.
Sorry, I'm sorry if I'm breaking up. Another idea is, right now, the quick fix that you have in that draft MR is asks the component to tell if the emoji thing is visible. But what if we told at who? What if we could attach listeners for whether it's visible or hidden to put some sort of blocking flag on that elements container? So like, what if that condition in the view component was like, is out, like it checks if it has a class out of control or something, like I don't have control of this, whatever. And then I'm not going to close it. But then whenever the emoji thing closes, then we just remove that blocking flag. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. The only question I would have is, how would the view application know if this thing is open or not on a reliable base?
How did you say it was loaded in? Is it a child of the text box?
No, it is. It is just very. Let me see if I can reproduce this easily, but it is basically just attached the very end of a body tag and then positioned in an absolute way. So it is something somewhere in our DOM, but it's not that we can actually deal with it as if a child or something. It's just somewhere.
So,
and sorry, Paul, one more quick note, because you just mentioned the vendor library. With the current setup we're having, we actually many moons ago, probably, but we already forked this library. So it is kind of a vendor thing, but we are in full control of this part. So making changes to it is kind of a realistic thing to do.
Right, that makes sense. No, suggestion that I think might be the simplest. It's still not great, but if at who is already given reference to some sort of element it's targeting. And so when it's opened, we don't have to couple at who to anything else. And what we could do is leave some sort of artifact onto that element, like a class or a data attribute or something when we're open, and when we're closed, we'll remove that artifact. And so the other thing that has reference to that element is the view component, and where everywhere else we're using GFM stuff, they also have a reference to that component, and we can test for the presence of that artifact, whether it's a class that was added or a data attribute that was added, or whether we need to actually cancel this thing or not.
I'm not entirely sure if I fully understood, but I like one of those problems I'm seeing is that this the DOM elements, the add view library is bringing along, they will be staying in the DOM basically all the time. So here on the right you can see it, because it's just triggering the starts. So if that is why I came up with this check, actually checking whether or not they're currently displaying. So not sure if I understood you the right way, but kind of what I was hearing was basically check whether or not these things are available in the DOM or not, and then apply something on a view application element. If that's the case, then I do see some issues regarding reliability, because
If we
this
can
thing is
go
always
to-
available.
Can we check out the GFM autocomplete library? Can we check that out in the code or that module? Yeah. So are there any like hooks for if we're shown or hidden? Like there we do, like, I guess that's our template for displaying things. Are there any hooks for whether we show or hide this thing?
This sounds like display template, maybe, to me.
I don't think that would be it. Maybe not.
Okay.
My suggestion is based on, oh, there's callbacks. Is there a get, what's the get default callbacks?
Do you have a line number? I'm not.
Online.
Oh, get default callbacks. Okay, gotcha. Yep, let's. So that should be in. It's not defined in here. Interesting. That's what I would have expected, honestly.
What is, oh, here we go. I wish there was documentation for this thing.
It's not super well maintained, unfortunately, even though like for us, oh, it's a temporary fork from a couple of years ago, probably. So this is the original repository. No longer maintained documentation. Here we go. Callbacks. Default callbacks.
So I was wondering if there's like a, I think that there is, I'm looking at these random lines of @who code, random found in the internet. Oh, cool. Yes. Is there like shown and hidden? There's there's none of those. Man. Well, that's lame. Okay. That was my. All right. Maybe these are just the default callbacks. These aren't necessarily all the callbacks. Do you have this thing? Running right now? On your GDK?
Yep. Here we are.
Okay. Can we do something crazy?
Go for it.
Can we just try adding to callbacks? Can we just try adding a shown and a hidden and see if these things work?
Absolutely. Where would we add those? In the GFM, will we be able to reproduce this easily?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so
Emoji one on line 231.
231. Gotcha. Sweet. So callbacks.
Oh,
That's
sorry, I'm reading. Mark found some things. So yeah, it's at a shown. I think it's past tense is what I'm seeing randomly in the internet that might not be related at all.
mhm.
In a hidden.
So it's shown and hidden then. Oopsie.
While we're writing this, what we could do is create a proxy that takes any key. And so anytime someone's trying to access anything from callbacks, we always console log it. And that's one way we could investigate what the API is. But that's too much work right now. Let's
Sophisticated.
let's console log here. Just something that we're hidden, you know. I got shown. I got shown for reals. Okay. Cool. All right. Can we just to double check too that we're in the right emoji and like any of these callbacks are getting called? Can we add a console log just on one of the other callbacks? Like maybe, I don't know, matcher. Yeah. Okay.
Let's see. So let's pop up the console and open the emoji picker. And really nothing's happened. Oh yeah, match is running.
Matcher's running. Shown.
That's good.
did not run.
Nope, just the matcher.
No.
So I found in the at whose source when you trigger escape, it calls this method here. This I've just pasted it in the chat. So basically, the context, I think, is some containing element somewhere. I don't know what exactly it is yet, but it's emitting. I'm assuming trigger must be the jQuery trigger method. So it's triggering a hidden event, right? I wasn't watching what you were doing. Have you already found this out? Okay, so I'm wondering if we find out what context is in this case, then where we set up at who, maybe we could add an event listener. God, that's so nasty. Okay.
Or we can add an event listener, or actually fire up an event which we're going to be catching in our view application.
Well, when hidden happens, things we don't know why it's hidden. Oh no, we do. We actually pass the event to the hidden event as well. So we could find out if it was hidden because of escape was pressed. In which case, yeah, we can do something useful there. Like, I don't know, like Paul said, like add data set something somewhere or
we could like, this might be a very bad idea, but maybe eventually would be helpful to just like pretty stupidly add a class to the body tag, basically telling add you opened, or that might be something. Let's see if this is actually, if this thing is firing, because that would be a good hook to get into.
I just shared on a chat a link to code I found in Sourcegraph trying to figure out what context was, and it looks like context is actually their quote unquote like controller. And I think it is triggering an event on the inputor, the inputter,
The inputter.
the inputor. And so this is great. I think it'd be great to see if we can listen to shown.atWho and hidden.atWho on the input that we receive from the GSM autocomplete.
Well, that would bring us back to this one, wouldn't it?
So callbacks is a different thing, it seems like. I think we would listen to these events from the input.atWho. We would do input.on.
Okay, so
So if
basically,
so if you go to where we set up emoji, so after input at who, we could, for instance, do input on hidden shown. I think you can add with a space between them to have both events.
But based on that code that I just shared, I think these are namespace events. I think it would be hidden dot. I think they're building it with the name, and then they're appending dot at who at the end of it. So it'd be hidden dot at who is the name of the event. Yeah.
like that?
Yeah, let's try to do just the hidden one. We can worry about the shown one later. If we do just the hidden one, and then it's just, yep, we would just add comma and then the event listener. We can worry about shown later, but let's just do on and then do comma. It takes 2 arguments. I'm not talking clearly.
Gotcha. No, yeah. Something along those lines.
Yes. Yeah. And just throw as many fat arrows as you want at it. That's sorry. I know.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, let's see if that works. What do you think, Mark?
Why do people talk to me when I'm not listening? I don't get it. What's going on?
Oh, never mind. Forget it. What do you think, James?
Sorry.
Just ask how you like this thing.
Do you think that this hooking into the shown hidden and leaving some sort of artifact on the input, do you all think that's a decent approach?
Maybe there may be a race here, like which event listener gets set up first, the view one or the at who one. But let's see. This is a good start.
So the event fires. That's the good news.
Can you log the event that you get as well?
Yep, absolutely.
It looks like data, whenever it was the second argument to the trigger that comes from context. I'm looking at the source graph, the code and source graph.
Okay, how many params do I need then? Is one more enough?
It just be one.
Okay.
And you can just. What is E here? Hide.
Check review event type hidden. Well, that is not too surprising. What else can be of use in here?
You're actually going to get the key. You might get the key down event. You'll get whatever. It seems like you'll get whatever event object got triggered that caused this. Whether it was a mouse press event or whatever, they're just passing whatever that native event object is. They're just passing it through, which is kind of cool because you could get maybe like the current target or stuff. But I don't think we need that.
Okay. This whole thing is the actual event. Understood. Yep. Yeah, the current target, since we're kind of computing this thing in view land, is probably not too helpful, unfortunately, I'd say.
Yeah. I don't think we'll need that.
Okay.
So here's my idea.
Mhm.
This may be a really bad idea. But and I don't know, maybe that's the theme. We all have bad ideas today.
Welcome to pairing.
Let's add another input on where we do shown.add who.
Mm.
I feel like this is like a Dr. Seuss library. I don't mean to diss add who, but maybe there was some missed potential there. So yeah, maybe it's a good idea for us to go ahead and log these. But what we would do on the shown is we would ensure that a class or a data attribute exists. And then the hidden,
Yeah.
remove that thing.
Yep, that could be our like the body indicator I was referring to, basically. So like, let's see if that might be good enough. Like, I have not written a query selector for a long time.
We could just use the input that we want. I would not do it on the body because it's possible that like you've opened up one and then you go to another comment, maybe and press escape or something like that.
Yeah, we should keep the context local to the current input, basically.
Where would we then add it? Is it let
Just
me
dollar
see.
input, man. Dollar bill, y'all.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Just like that?
Yes, except I'm pretty sure this is a jQuery thing. So you could just do the fancy, what is it called? How do you do jQuery?
I think it's class or classes. Or add and remove class. That's it. Well done.
It's just add class.
Add class in camel case, yeah.
Add class. Okay, so the class list is not. Oh, it's not going to be in the jQuery object. Gotcha. Add class and remove class.
Yeah. Man, jQuery is so clean. So clean.
Yeah. We should go back to that.
We
should re-implement all of our stuff in jQuery. It's so nice.
Taking that for the next beautifying UI initiative, maybe. So let's see, how did I call the class? Attractive.
Well, it should be gone now, right?
Well, this is painful to reproduce. That is, oh my god. Can we just, yeah, should work.
Let's go ahead and go to the view event listener for escape, and let's see if we can read it on escape. Let's be optimistic about what this step and just move to the next one. Yeah.
So that would this would basically mean that we are now looking for this.
Yeah. Not necessarily, because we can still keep this scoped to inputs.
Mm-hmm.
So this view component should have a ref to the input. Right.
Mm-hmm. How do I address this one?
Can we go down to the template and see if we can find the input? We go up, maybe. Yeah.
The text area?
Ref text area, yeah.
Yeah, that should do it.
Okay, help me out syntax-wise. What is it? $ref text area?
It should be if first, can we on the cancel handler, can we just console log this dot $refs dot text area?
Oopsie.
Uh-oh, GitLens is putting putting metadata in weird places.
What is, there we go. And this stuff at the text area, that's what we just said, right?
Except it's refs.
Yep, let me just for the sake of it, so this doesn't error. Sweet. Let's use the cancel event then. Oopsie.
Lee's gone, man. He's gone.
Maybe he's still listening.
Maybe.
So cancel handler is being triggered, and this will give us the text area, and this is exactly what we've been looking for, isn't it?
Does
Yeah.
the text area have the
Ref on it?
no, the class?
Maybe, but maybe we removed it and then logged it.
Right, exactly. So this means that the view event happens after the @who event is handled.
Which is a bad thing, correct?
Wait. What?
So basically what's happening is you press colon, you've got the @who thing open, you press escape, the event bubbles. No, it doesn't bubble, it goes down from document to the text area, and then it fires on text area and it hits the @who event listener first. That
Class is being
shuts
removed.
it down. Yeah, it removes the class. It closes that, and then it goes to the next event handler on text area, which is the view GFM autocomplete one, which handles the cancel.
So why couldn't we just tell it to stop there? I'm not very good on event bubbling.
Well, that's a really good point.
Stop propagation. That'll do it. If we do on hide and then e.stop propagation, that'll probably do it.
Because
I think we need to stop immediate propagation because the events are on the same element.
Yeah, so just absolutely do agree, just to get this right, because if we catch an event that @who actually kind of computes or deals with, then we don't want this event to fire anything else, and therefore it's a good idea to immediately stop propagation, correct? Sweet. Where would that go? Let me double check. Going back to the source, I'd say.
I think the autocomplete.
Yeah, most likely.
So if E is the original event that got triggered, whether it was a key down or whatever, we can E.stop. I think.
I think we'll only want to stop immediate propagation if it's the escape key.
We'll only want to do it then.
Yeah, because otherwise, well, who knows what else we'll be stopping? Like, maybe there's other behaviors that we do want to actually let propagate down.
Bring up the point of keeping this maybe a little scoped. Let's look at the details on the log of this event again.
The hidden event?
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, and I do agree with Mark said, just for the sake of the demo, let's keep it like that and see if it actually does what we wanted to.
Hey, Lee. Is it working? It's working.
But hold your horses, because it has been working for a couple of times before. Like this is
working. What do you mean? What?
It's just on the answering the comment.
What? Wait. What?
It's just
Sorry, what's what?
So this is going to be a merge request, and if we that might be a good spot to start. Let me just reload the thingy. This might be because this one does not have the modal, at least. So if we're just going to be adding a new comment, Yeah, on escape, nothing will happen. That's the thing. I'm now pressing escape for a couple of times. There is no model when you're just going to be adding a new comment. That's why we're not running into this issue. But when you're actually responding to an already existing comment, then we are still running into it. Let me wait a second. This was not open. Now it's open. Pressing escape for once. There we go. Problem. So stop propagation does not seem to do the trick just yet, I'm afraid.
Well, I wonder then if it's doing it too late. Can we
comment out the remove class of add_to_active?
That one?
Can we go back to the note form
and see if it's still on there? If it ever gets applied.
View?
One more time.
Can we go to the note form.view that playing around with? So this is definitely for reply stuff.
Pretty sure. Well, the thing is, if this cancel handler gets called on the right escape key, then I would say yes. And
255 is actually backwards. If you go back to line 255, if add is active, we don't want to cancel the form.
Yep, that's correct.
So we can just put we can put let's go ahead and use the refs we were trying to use. Oh yeah, that would be fine. That's fine. That's fine. We'll refactor later. Let's see if this works.
Well, that would be a classic at least.
So maybe this was working.
Let me talk you through this. So running some words, opening it up, pressing escape once, no model, pressing escape twice. No,
yes.
No, nothing.
No, that's good because that's
because we're not removing the class at the moment,
yes.
Right?
100%.
Gotcha. Sweet. One more time. Reloading.
Well, so we're doing two things here. We're stopping immediate propagation, and we're doing this event, this class toggling thing. Do we want to see if we can get rid of the class toggling thing and just rely on the event stopping propagation? Because I think it's not clear which of these is actually fixing the problem, if either, if you know, both or whatever.
Let's try the class one, and then we'll try the propagation one.
Absolutely. So this is I just commented out the propagation ones that we're now running on the class solution only. Hitting escape once, hitting escape another time, working just fine. Wow, that's amazing. So putting in the stop immediate propagation, copying, commenting out all of the class shenanigans. What are we going to do regarding the stop propagation with our condition in here? It shouldn't be anything required, or am I getting something wrong?
Right.
Yeah, so this should not work, right?
Should be, yeah.
But I agree with what I think we were identifying earlier. I don't think this is going to work because view is attaching its listeners last.
Well, and I'm a little bit afraid, even if this is not working, I'm a little bit afraid about race conditions. Maybe that could be another thing.
I think these things are usually deterministic, like the event.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
But it's like if a future refactoring somehow ends up attaching these events in a different order.
It'd be fragile.
Sorry, Yannick, can you do this? Speak out what keys you're pressing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Reloading once more. But just to quickly add on this, I'm with you, Mark. Like this is a fragile thing because it'll be hard to document the connection between those two kind of events in our code base. So if anybody will be touching one of those files, I could easily see this being broken without anybody noticing. Testing this is probably not too trivial as well. So writing a couple of words, colon, hitting escape once, everything's fired. You're screwed.
So that doesn't make any sense to me, because hidden event fired. Can you add in the view cancel handler?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's the cancel. It is there. So can you go back to the console? Where is that cancel? It's cancel handler is happening first. Hidden event fired. Right. That says to me that view is actually attaching its event first, which makes sense, actually. Of course it is, because the text area is created by view. So of course it adds its input handlers first.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so okay, so this brings me back to my suggestion where in Vue we do this horrible thing where we like do an asynchronous callback and wait for the later event handlers to fire and maybe stop, well, not stop propagation, but prevent default or something nasty like that. Yeah, I don't know. On this note, I'm gonna go. I'm done.
Enough of it. Thanks for your
yeah.
input, Mark. That was fantastic. Have a great weekend.
Thanks,
Enjoy.
Mark. See ya.
See you then.
I think something Mark said before was like if view is hearing the event first, then it can check to see if something is open, and if something is open, to leave it, right? Is that what we're... So like what we were saying before, if the pop-up can add some kind of like artifact, I think you said before, Paul, to say something is open, and then Vue can say, okay, if that artifact is there, then don't do anything.
Yeah.
The problem.
That's kind of what the class approach is. What I think Mark was talking about is you could, rather than having its view synchronously handling the event, it could asynchronously handle the event, such that when that asynchronous process actually starts, any other event handlers would have modified the event by either calling stop propagation or something like that, and then it could know, oh, I need to just skip this. So sometimes you can have like an event handler skip its place in line by waiting to process the thing. But that's really, but you're into timing weirdness.
Yeah. So that kind of means like, yeah, hey, Vue application, I know this button was pressed, but just wait another second. Maybe there might be somebody coming up telling you, don't actually do this.
Right. What I like about the class. Oh, sorry, what were we gonna say?
So could it not say like, so the pop-up always gives some artifact to the window or page or whatever, to say the pop-up is open, and it also stops the propagation whenever it receives it, right? So then
we were looking at doing either one of those. We may not do both.
But if we did both, then the Vue application could say, if you get an event and there's no artifact, act on it.
Yeah.
Whereas if either of those are not the case, don't.
What I think Yannick just confirmed, though, is that the stop propagation was not actually stopping the propagation like we thought. So we're not, if we were going to get stop propagation to work, we would have to defer some things in the Vue thing, which would add a lot of complexity, which we're not sure we want to do.
So I thought stopping the propagation didn't work because Vue was reading it before the pop-up did.
That's correct. Like if we,
So if the
sorry.
pop-up's able to give a artifact, then Vue can say, okay, is there an artifact? If there is, don't worry about it, leave it.
An artifact for something like a class we're adding to the element, for example.
Yeah.
That's the first approach we went with, which was working just fine.
Sorry, so why can't we combine them both and then it will work?
Why do we need, why wouldn't we go with only a class? Or what do you mean by combine?
We would, so if we go with only a class, and then the event fires, if we go with only a class, the event fires and we don't know if the event has been handled or not yet by the pop-up.
Not quite on.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but like the class approach is also assuming a certain order of the events.
It's just the other order, the other way around.
Right. And so if the other order of events, if that wasn't true, stop propagation would work.
Yeah.
And the class wouldn't.
Let's just call it stop propagation. That's totally fine. Ideally, though, we should have a recreatable test for this. And these order events are deterministic because of the way like the JavaScript engine works. So like we could just cover all our bases and do stop propagation so that either order of the events will probably work. But then you run into like, it's not happening as other orders, so maybe we don't need that. But I'm fine with being extra defensive, but I think we were also concerned about leaving too much, changing too much here because it is very legacy fragile code, and there might actually be some sort of event that is dependent on it propagating. So if we're in that case, I'm inclined to, if we don't actually need it, let's try not to touch it. Let's try to touch as little as possible with this. So I do think that's an interesting idea of like, if the order of events is obscure, let's do both. But doing too much could be risky.
So just to get this right, you are proposing to go with a class-only solution here.
With definitely a test, because then if the event order changes, we'll have to address it. Yeah. How are we gonna test this thing?
Yeah.
We could do a feature spec. You know, feature specs are awesome. Lee loves feature specs. He loves writing them.
Yeah, I probably prefer them to Vue specs at the moment, although Paul did all the hard work last week. But yeah,
we do have actually a really cool I can't wait to show you this. This just got merged in. The MR is open for almost like 2 years, but it just got merged in. Well, I'll share my screen then.
Sure.
We can use Mousetrap though, to do key presses and stuff in a Vue spec.
Just to get us right, so we're speaking for the same thing. A feature spec would be something that will also be considered an integration test. It would basically press or simulate this key press and then see if this thing is still attached to the DOM or something. So it's like a faking a user input, correct?
Yeah, it would navigate to an actual like issue page, click on like the reply button, and really like emulate a user. And we normally, I think, sort of inspect the DOM to say, can you see the modal, or can you see the emoji picker, or can you see whatever we want to check should or shouldn't exist.
Gotcha.
That Capybara is so good at being able to wait for elements to show up. Like before you assert, if you're saying this shouldn't be here, it'll wait a determined amount of time to make sure this thing doesn't show up. So that's Capybara is really great. But we do have these like integration specs. We have one where we're already asserting this is actually in JS DOM land, opening up the emoji picker by focusing in on that text area and filling it in with a certain input and stuff. And then we're asserting what our autocomplete suggestions are. So we could take a front-end integration approach to this where we're mounting one of these inputs that would show the cancel modal, and we do this through the JS DOM way. These could be a little bit more complex than they would in Capybara. So I would suggest doing a Capybara might be simple enough. But Capybara is a little bit more expensive to run too. But here's another alternative of using these front-end integration tests. Just an idea. But let's, what are you thinking?
Not so much at the moment, or not so sure if I understood it correctly. Like, how many alternatives are we speaking about? Like, one would be the integration test. What would be the other? That's the part I didn't get.
The Capybara specs, the big feature specs, the RSpec stuff we could use, or we could use this kind of integration style.
Gotcha. Okay, now I see. I don't have a strong opinion on this. Basically, I would prefer something that is as late as possible, probably, and that kind of drives me to what I'm currently seeing, but not a
So I would use this as a template for usually how we set these things up. You notice that we're not importing view components or anything. We import the actual like entry points for these apps, and we load them up on pictures generated from our YAML stuff or just whatever. So the subjects here are those app entry points, and then we interact with the DOM through JS DOM this way. So this is the notes app. So maybe there's a way that we can we can interact through it here. I don't know if snippets shows we're just showing the snippets.
You're sure if this is already merged, because I can't find the file, or maybe I just need to pull?
I'm sure it's merged. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It was 2 days ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, maybe my feature branch out of state. Anyhow, okay. Oh, I made a screenshot.
But it's your call. Capybara spec would be cool too. I like Capybara specs. If you want any help writing the test for it, feel free to ping Lee on it. He loves writing these tests.
Will do so. I'm trying my very best not to bring this to the next pairing session as well. But we'll see how it goes.
Didn't you promise at the beginning that this one would be a quick one that wouldn't take?
I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about. I was expecting an easier solution, to be honest, but still, this was great progress. Thanks a lot for all the inputs.
Do you have 2 more minutes? Because there's just a couple of things about the solution that are worth pointing out. Could you share your screen?
Sorry about it. Here we go.
Go into the note form.view. So right now on line 255, we're looking at document query selector, but we really want to try to get this from ref's text area.
Gotcha.
Let's see if there's a way for us to do that. And I guess it's like classless contains or something.
Query selector should still be working on a DOM element, shouldn't it?
Would it select? Is that only children though? Does it include itself?
Let's give it a 1, I'd say. Otherwise you're off the classless contains, right? Because it's actually on the element. Yeah, this actually does make a lot more sense. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Yep, and we'll need to get rid of the dot,
Yeah, that would be smart.
and we can get rid of the equal nulls.
Mm,
Or if it does not contain, so you just throw a not in front of the.
should go here.
Oh
Is
no,
that how
no,
it
no.
works?
I mean a bang, man, at the beginning of the line, or the beginning of the if. Oh, you know what I'm
Just-
talking about. No.
Yeah,
Inside the parentheses. Yeah.
Gotcha. It's the end of the week for everybody. Come on.
That called the. Is it the not
I see.
operator? That's what it is. Yeah,
Yep.
the not operator. Is that the only operator? No, minus. Will that negate something? Can minus? Is that the only unary operator that happens before the operand?
I'm not sure a minus would work in there. So typing some words, hitting a colon, opening up the model, hitting escape for once,
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
working fine, hitting escape twice, still working fine.
Woohoo!
Awesome.
Awesome. So that's great.
Hitting
That's
escape a third time, still working.
Cool.
Fourth time, still all good.
Awesome.
That's
So
fantastic.
we would be screwed if hidden wasn't triggered. So this is all assuming that we can trust @who to actually trigger hidden when this thing is actually hidden. So it's worth trying out all of the things. Like, can we try some other edge cases out? I said a couple of minutes, but let's. We hadn't
That's
changed any
good.
code, so we shouldn't have to refresh anything. But if you open something and then actually click on something without hitting escape on the emoji,
Open what? Like one of
I
the.
just meant I'm in.
Gotcha.
Maybe
No. Yeah. We should do this in here. So
and then hit
something
escape.
like this.
That's still working.
Yep. Still just fine.
The big question is, can we trust @who to trigger hidden when we want it to? That's worth asking ourselves. I don't know.
Well, I would argue that this is some kind of logic that should be covered by tests in the library. What are you laughing about?
I'm laughing because you're right. It should be.
Yeah, but I feel like this is not definitely not the responsibility of this MR, which will go into the GitLab code.
This is true. We want to make sure we're not introducing any further regressions or any other bugs, which would mean we get in a weird state with these inputs. So that would be just, I don't know. Something to think about. I don't have a good answer for it. The other point, if we go back to the code, sorry, and I don't mean to be taking your time too much, but the other point would be
easy.
If you go to GFM autocomplete, we want to do this for every @who setup, not just emojis.
Do we?
Yeah, because if you've got an autocomplete list for like an email address for contacts or an app, postal of assignee or anything, you don't want it to. And it's funny because until you mentioned this, like it's a little niggle that's bugged me, but I've never kind of considered it to be big enough to warrant attacking, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. So just to get this right, on every call to the @who library we're making, we want to add this class toggling. We don't necessarily have to then compute it or do something with it, but we want to add the ability that we can actually hook into this if we want to.
We want 275 and 284 to apply to every @who thing. So that is just there's a number of ways we could do that. But it's going to take probably a little bit of refactoring of the existing stuff. We don't want to totally duplicate ourselves, but maybe this is what we do right now. We create some sort of init function that has to be called in every single one of these. Or we pipe every single one of these into a common setup thing. Like what if instead of line 307, where we call input.addWho, what if we had a function that we called that took in these options that we pass through to input.addWho, but then we also set up these event listeners, you know?
Yeah, understood.
So
this by no means, this has to live in the GitLab monolith, right? By no means this logic can go into the library.
that's another great question. I don't know. Maybe we want it to live in the library. I really don't know. I would hesitate to change the library. But yeah, Paul, yeah, so you can leave that in the code. I would add the prefix, the JS prefix to these classes too, so that we're not accidentally styling things.
Fair point.
And then the other thought is, the other call out is with adding them to everything, there's an EE version of this file, because we have EE specific comments, EE specific objects that we do autocomplete for. And then the last thing is, we want to call this, what do we want to call the class? Do we want it to be @who active, or maybe, because right now the subject of the class is @who, but maybe it's more like input blocked or something like that. Like maybe the subject is actually the input. Like we want to block the thing. So just those are your thoughts. I don't have any strong opinions to it, but
okay. But
yeah,
just to summarize what I'm taking away, like first thing will probably be to find a way that this logic should be on there in every call that you add to. Let's see about the EE. Maybe that will then sort itself out, but we'll see. And then come up with a test for this, an integration test.
100%.
Yeah, that was quick to do, as I said. Yeah.
I was good. Gosh, man, we're solving problems in an hour-ish.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Awesome. That's glad to hear. Yeah, good fun for sure. And yeah, I haven't seen it coming up this complicated, but good fun.
All right. Well, thanks, Yannick. Thanks, James. Thanks, Lee, for hopping on.
Sure.
You got to plug in your laptop, Yannick.
Yep, I'll be out of here in one way or another. But have a great weekend, everybody, and thanks so much for hopping on.
I just wanted to say thanks for last week. We that MR's hit now, so not only did Paul rewrite the specs using view test utils, but we've now got the reason that came to fruition in the first place was because I was trying to add handling for hitting enter or return when you rename or add a file in the web IDE, and that merge request has now been deployed to production. And that sounds very much like this issue, Yannick. It's like a little niggle that's just kind of gets you every time you try and do it, and it doesn't work as you expect. And yeah. So happy days. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Yeah.
Bye.
Awesome. See you then.
Take care.